Y254. Imagine.
Absolutely. Thank you for staying with us. Karibu sana. Good morning to you. If you're just tuning in right about now, if you have no idea, this is hashtag Y in the morning. You can always find us on digital at Y254 channel _ on the gram, verified with the blue check mark. And personally, mine is a Brian Sakwanwan today. This is my first live interview of 2025, and I'm so excited, so elated to be right here. But we've asked you an interesting question on our digital before I actually just introduce my guests who are live with me right here in the studio. How do you find vision and purpose now that we're just in the breadth of KCSE results that were released last week by Education Cabinet Secretary, that is Mr. Julius Ogamba Migos, right? Hopefully I got it right, yeah? So we are asking you as a learner, as a Gen Z who's completed or finished high school, how do you find purpose and vision? But then the question again is, we are actually trying to talk about it with my co-host. What next after KCSE? Does the grade or the results you got really matter? Is it the final verdict for your future? And that is the conversation we're actually going to delve into. And today, I'm being joined live in the studio by professionals. They are teachers. Immediate next to me is Mr. Oliver Matara. He's a teacher at Kirangare Boys High School as well, alongside his counterpart, Pascal Ainer. He's a teacher of physics and mathematics, very important subjects. So if you see yourself in mathematics and physics, you see Teacher Pascal right here. Nice to meet you, gentlemen. Good morning. Karibuni sana. Yeah, so I'm going to start off with you, Teacher Oliver. In the breadth of these results that have been released, yeah, there's those who got maybe results that they expected, there's those who got that they never expected. But then the thing is, I think this year it has posted as, I'd say, stellar performances. The main grade, I've seen the main grade is C+. To join, the counting grade is C+, which is a good thing, meaning that, you know, this year there'll be more higher learning, you know, students joining up the higher learning facilities, and that is an impressive thing. I don't know, what is your reaction to that before we get into the nitty-gritties?
Sure. I wish to say that the performance was truly stellar, a bit of an improvement compared to the previous years. I mean, compared to the previous year. And as noted, when the results were being released by the Cabinet Secretary,
right,
there was a lot of jubilation and joy after it had been posted that the students' performance was higher compared to the other one. Even according to the numbers, we noted that the numbers were higher. Therefore, that one simply tells us that at higher education, those students who will pursue the higher education at higher education level, they will be larger. The number will be larger.
Right.
So I was equally impressed. I know the performance keeps on changing. Maybe this year it may be different from the previous year, and so So for me, I believe that the students just gave in their best, and therefore those who merited or they scored the quality grades that would necessitate them to
join
acquire
higher learning
to join
institution.
higher institutions.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
that's just what I can say.
All right, Teacher Pascal. Teacher Pascal.
Yes.
What do you think of this year's results?
My thoughts exactly are that performance varies each year, and performance being an effect of a cause. It's what I mean is that it has several factors that bring it to be. So each year the performance will be different from the other years because there are different courses. We are looking at different learners and a different type of exam. So the performance mostly will vary, but we always want it to vary positively. And this year that happened, and I think it's exciting to look at that. But I would love us to think of it as something that is caused by various things. So as we celebrate, as educators, we look at the the factors behind it, because we want to change it for the better, we must understand the factors.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if is it the examiners or the examination markers who mark the exams, but anyways, I think that's an issue. We can delve into it later on.
Yeah.
Back to the conversation, finding purpose after, you know, sitting for your KCSE examinations. Does the grade really matter? Does it determine what you pursue thereafter? Does it also determine how your life and your career path will be, the grade you got at KCSE?
Grading is meant to allocate, in the sense that it partitions up the learner body. Like, we had a number of students who did this exam, and the opportunities are somewhat limited. Looking at Kenya, we can't all be doctors or engineers. So the exam works as a throttle to churn out people into different directions. This is a way government uses to place individuals.
Right.
But at the individual point as a person, you can either go the way the government has directed or choose another path. To answer your question, yes, it determines your path, but not completely. Not completely,
Right.
in the sense that the first 6 grades from A to C+ are assigned university. Then the rest, TVET, then vocational training, and some other things that you might choose to do as a person. This is what the government provides. But as an individual, I can choose to go against it and find another way, maybe following passion or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we also live in an era where I believe as time goes by, academic qualifications, or I'd say success, won't really matter a lot because of technology and how times are changing. But I believe academic papers really matter, especially now when it comes to now expertise, knowledge, and whatnot. And before I get to you, Oliver, before you react in the same, do you believe as well teachers play a huge role in determining the course and the direction of the next life of this person who has sat for the KCSE examination, in terms of now choosing the career, especially while they're at school? And off the air, I was telling you guys, personally, I believe teachers determine a lot of what I am right now till today. And I still give credit, and forever I'll still give credit. And how voices of parents matter in terms of now, I'll say, shaping and cultivating the profession that this child pursues, whether it's a profession of their choice or a profession that, you know, the parent wants, and now you can combine mindsets, brainstorm with the teacher, the learner, and then the guardian. How important is it?
I think a teacher plays an important role, but not as huge as the parent, but we do play a very important role. I spend most of my time with teenagers, and I will tell you that teenagers have a voice, but their voice is shaky. Shaky in the sense that they are young.
Right.
Now, life places a responsibility on them to make very major choices when they are still children.
Yeah.
Like career choices, and it is a big choice, but then they are still underage, so to speak, not yet 18. They don't know what it means to be in these careers. So a teacher comes in now to guide, tenderly guiding, as you try to listen to this shaking voice, what they might be yearning for. You come in and tenderly advise so that they can align to what later they realize was for them. It's very easy to mislead, to misguide. And so teachers and parents try to work closely to ensure that this tender desire in this student is actually met by a precise and workable career.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, impressive. What do you think, first of all, you can react to, does the grade really matter, and how important is it for voices of the guardian and the teacher in terms of shaping the career of these young ones?
Yes. First of all, I can say that yes, the grade may also matter because we are living in our current environment. We base on what you come out from the school with, in terms of the grade. First of all, before it places you, for it to place you to the next career level. That is what the system of education has been gearing us towards. And that is to mean that, because I've said yes, that is to mean that depending on the grade that you have also, you have scored, that is after the high school, it may channel you into the next career opportunity, depending on the career opportunities that are available and what the government has provided in terms of the allocation of the grading system, who to go and pursue a certain course, like in education or in a medical field, etc. So yes, a grade may also matter.
Right.
And in the same breath, this grading system also, it also depends with maybe the background. The background also fits in because it will tell most about what you'll do right after school with your grade.
Yeah.
There are some, there are some families, they cannot manage even to afford education for their young ones, right after high school.
Right.
So for such a case, they will depend heavily on the grade or the outcome of the grading. Of the outcome of the grade they score in the high school.
Yeah.
So that one probably will matter most because it is the grade they are depending heavily on. But again, there are some families, depending on the family background,
Yeah.
those who can manage to afford and maybe take their students or their kids to certain careers, not preferably the ones that have been designated by the government, So for that one, again, it becomes easier for such a child who hails from such a family,
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, but now that student who hails from a humble background, the one that, is heavily dependent on the grade that will need, they score from the high school, that one now they have no choice. They really need to depend on the grade.
Right.
And again, I think that one answers.
Yeah, absolutely. Answered well. Now, how important is the voices of the guardians and now the teachers? Do you have influence personally on your students? Personally, there's teachers in high school that they're still memorable, even in primary school. I can say their 3 names in the middle of the night because I loved them. We had a very close relationship because they correct you, they help you. And in fact, a statistic says 90% of children spend actually half of their childhood with their teachers, meaning teachers are like, essential profession. True. Yeah.
True.
So did you have a close relationship with your learners, and how important is it in terms of instilling your voice in their career path?
Yes. I would like to start by saying that the first role model of a child or a student in school is the teacher. That one is to say that students will spend most of their time when they are schooling with their teachers than even maybe with the time they spend with their parents. That one, right when the student enrolls in kindergarten and the way the student will grow academically in primary and in high school and maybe even at tertiary level, mostly students spend most of the time with their teachers. So from where I sit, the student's first role model of a child should be the teacher. Unfortunately, that's not the need. That's not what the learners maybe see in us teachers. But that's what I want to say.
Right.
I'm saying so from because
from your experience,
from my
well.
experience,
Okay.
I know I have several teachers whom I still
revere
and I revere.
Okay. Wow.
I take them with a lot of regard.
And now you're a teacher too,
Yes,
meaning that there's also students who look up to you. So you're like some sort of like a mentor to these learners.
Yes, I'm a true mentor.
Right.
Yeah, and so that one, it doesn't mean that now the parent do not play a significant role. First of all, the parent is these are 3 parties for success actually to be successful for this student to pass. These are 3 very important parties. I'm the first one. The parent is the first party because they have provided the child. I'm the second main party, and the child is the other party. So the parties need to correlate and work cohesively because there is a part that I will play for this child actually to succeed or to give us the proper performance. There's a part that this parent must also play. Likewise, there's a part that this kid must also perform in such a way that we need to balance. If I work my part, I perform my part well as a teacher. If the child performs his or her part well as a student. If the parent performs his or her knee, and by that you mean that there are factors or there are some conditions that the parent must provide or avail. Likewise, I must perform my part, and likewise the child must perform
their part. Their part. Impressive.
Yes.
Impressive. So okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Let me come back to you, Pascal. There's parents who say in this family, sisi tunakuanga daktari, tunakuanga pastors, dentists, and doctors or engineers. But then this Gen Z who has just finished, are they Gen Zs? Yes, they're Gen Zs because the next is better. Who's just finished their KCSE. Maybe they've not scored that expected grade from the parents, but then I also believe as a learner there's individual expectations as well. But you know, there's those disappointments and they happen, it's life here. You might not have attained your dream grade, but then now you have to deal with the reality of it. What is the alternative route to, you know, you going or forging ahead with your life? So as I say, as a parent and also as a teacher, how do you assist this learner who's just completed KCSE in the recently released exam to move ahead with life? Should they get stuck up there? Should they cry? Should they make a phone call? There's even, I think there's an incident you're pointing out in the morning where there's a guardian who beat the daughter to death because she didn't attain the grade that the dad wanted, and it is really unfortunate.
Very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Thank you for those two questions. Actually, I think there are two questions. The first one, if I got it right, is what about these parents who want their kids to go in a certain direction? I think parents struggle to understand that at some point kids grow, and they don't really know at what point the child can be allowed to make decisions. And that is something every parent struggles with. And I will tell parents that it's okay to allow this person to be a human being, because God has given them the power to think and choose. So I think after Form 4, this human being is able to make a choice, is able to choose. I think listening to this child will make a difference. Find out their passion. Passion has to do with emotions. What do they love to do with themselves? You don't want them stuck in a career that they don't love just because you wanted to have a doctor or you wanted to have a pastor, something like that. Then
an engineer.
An engineer. So
maybe they want to be a DJ and play music, which is selling. It's a big career nowadays.
And exerting undue pressure on this young person because they now start feeling they need to match up to your expectations. The second thing that parents need to consider is the purpose. Purpose has to do with the reason behind the choice. Why am I choosing this career? Remember I said passion?
Absolutely.
Do I love it?
Purpose.
Then the second one is purpose. Why do I want to do this? Majorly it can be motivated by money, or you want to be in those top professions so that Baba so and so, you know, Mama so and so. But the reason why you want to do that thing is very important. Is it for the money? Is it because it's serving humanity? Is it because you feel that you are fit for that purpose? I think there needs to be a cordial association between a parent and a learner in relation to their career. Remember, they will be there for quite a while. I've seen cases where people go to university, do a degree, bring the paper back home and say, Dad, here is your paper, then goes ahead and do
becomes a DJ once again.
Your second asking of me was to talk to this learner who has just done their KCSE, and they're thinking, what's next for me? The government has provided a path. The first 6 grades, that is C+ to A, are allotted space in the universities. So they can go the university way. Then once they enter university, together with their guardians, they can choose a path. There are very many courses that one can take. Now, someone didn't get a C+ and above. What next for them? We have TVET. TVET is another avenue. It takes in the people who have not yet, who didn't make it or cut it to university. They can consider TVET. They have very nice courses and they offer actually TVETs are very valuable to this country. Where we are at right now, we are really in need of TVET. They're doing a good job. Then after TVET, I think MTC goes to the same level with TVET. Then after TVET, we have the vocational training institutions. These ones are almost, I'm using the word almost, in every sub-county.
Right.
They will be near your home. You
Yeah.
can walk there and do something. So possibly C, C minus, D
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah.
They
That means
can go there.
as well for high learning can be a diploma, and then
Yeah.
you get to a degree.
Exactly.
For private, I believe, as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And then now those ones who perhaps got an E, and these ones are the ones I want to address specifically.
You mean you mean E's are still being issued in this very day?
E's are there, they're part of the grading system. I
E
tell
for
you.
effort.
E for effort and all that, and I've seen several. And let me tell you something before I talk to the
Yeah,
learners who got
absolutely.
E's.
Uh-huh.
These learners who get E's, usually some of them really do their best.
Yeah.
They really do their best. You know, maybe the first thing you think is that these are guys who are not serious, these are guys who don't know what they are doing. No. In some cases, these are people who have put in a lot of effort. But
Yeah.
for some reason or the other, they didn't just make it. Now, my view is this. If you feel in your heart that you didn't do your best,
Right.
and you are 17 years or 16 years, go back and take another shot. Go back to school and take another shot. If in your heart you feel, I didn't give it my best, that will be the best alternative
Best
for
option,
you.
yeah. Okay.
Then if you gave it your best, and this is it, and you know that even if you went back, you'll still be in the same place,
Right.
then that is the person I want to address. There are very many opportunities available for you. Very, very many opportunities. You know, sometimes we think that university is the only gateway to success.
Right.
But that depends on...
During your times, it was.
Yeah, during our times it was, but
it
now
was
look
like-
at...
It was the goal, but look what has happened with technology.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Was
I
it?
think way back, of somebody making it to a university was something to be... In fact, it was like an award-winning moment way back during those days.
Way back during those days. But nowadays,
Yeah.
I think if you redefine success for yourself,
Yeah.
being able to take care of yourself and your family and have an impact, then getting an E will not really be something that will make you want to despise yourself.
But then
or
there's
feel
that
like a
shame
failure.
of like you are just the first one from the bottom, meaning that I'm sure the parents feel some type of way, the learner also feels some type of way. But then I'm sure if, depending on the situations or the circumstances that led to you scoring an E, maybe it can be understandable, but I'm 1000% sure no parent will be comfortable to stare directly in the eyes of their son or daughter presenting an E to them. So how do you deal with that shame and disappointment as well?
You know, shame is a concept that I don't like as a person myself. I don't like shame at all because it means I'm reacting to the expectations of society. And yet here, the way I'm made and the way I've done my best, this is what I could bring.
Right.
So to feel ashamed about it will be to deny who I am. Remember I said, you've done your best.
Right.
You've done your best. So
E is for effort.
yes,
once
overcoming
again.
shame is one of the tenets of true success.
Wow.
You must overcome shame. You have to overcome shame.
Uh-huh.
Then convince your parents that, look here, I know you have these expectations because you love me, you want the best for me. And I want to tell you that this tool that I have in my hand, I can make the best out of it. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Look at tailoring, for example. We have very good tailors, and they're doing a good job. We are all looking good here because of tailors. These things happen by the hands of human beings. You can be an amazing tailor. These are opportunities you can pursue. You can go into hairdressing.
Yes.
People have hair. That means they need someone to take care of that hair.
Yeah. And plumbing.
And
is
plumbing.
here, you
People
know.
are having houses. We are constructing
Being taught
houses
in
every day.
tertiary institutions. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So these things are available. I wouldn't say much because I feel that I might take too much time when Oliver
No,
is
it's
having
all right. It's
stuff
all right.
that
It's all
he
right.
wants
It's good to be insightful, and I love it, Mr. Oliver. Let's carry away from that. Do you believe there are opportunities that young people can tap into, especially these ones who just completed KCC? I'm sure they're really excited about being on their smartphones. Joining TikTok is a trend in Kenya. Most young people are on TikTok and creating content, memes. They're called vines, the memes and vines. Some of them make money out of it. I believe the digital space is the co-ingredient. Do you believe there are many other opportunities that these young brains or youngins can tap into as they wait for placement? I believe that's next after the results.
Yes, I do. I do believe so. Outside here, you know, maybe we are coming from a certain time, because we are now talking about the Gen Z era now, but we are talking about during our days, as you mentioned, or as my colleague mentioned, that we used to over-rely on the outcome of the need that is after high school, but currently, or coincidentally, even right now, the current curriculum, or the current education system is heading towards now the competency, the competency of the learner and what the learner can do best. Okay, so like now in the as the learner, for instance, as the learner awaits the time to join, I think that's the question. As the learner awaits their time to join, there are these, how can I describe them, short courses, I think the ones that they can just learn on their own, because nowadays they have advantage. Almost every other child has got an advantage of a digital platform,
the internet,
the internet, whether in the houses, even the televisions are digitized, and you can Google anything, or you can use your smartphone or do something.
There's something we call here, it's called the University of YouTube.
Oh, the University
where a
of
lot
YouTube.
of Gen Zs have learned so many courses from there without being to a physical institution. Yeah.
Sure. So I believe that there are a number of digital courses that they can actually take themselves through, or if it is through, some of them maybe through apprenticeship, they have the people who can actually guide them through and do some of these, like the crafty courses, they can be able to touch on something, the hands, sure. So they can be able to do something as they wait to join the placement in higher learning institution. But again, that is for those ones who have money to do that. But for those ones who have not money to score the entry grade, it is not the end of the world. We have those learners that finish high school when they feel that they have outgrown, or I mean they are beyond again coming back and need to take a second chance in their course, okay, in high school. So for them it's like, I'm already man enough, or I'm already a lady enough, and such that they are ashamed coming back to repeat or have a second shot in the high school. Right. So for them, for my advice, they need to be vigilant about this, the craft courses around here, because like tailoring, as my colleague said, they can be able to learn something, and surprisingly, that is what actually feeds most of the people nowadays.
Yes, absolutely.
They can be able to proceed and maybe maybe do something like even the manicure and the manicure pedicure business, or saloonist. You know, that is surprising. That's also a career in these guys, because these are students maybe who has scored an E. We are wondering where will they go? Right. Will they commit suicide, or will they end their life just because they cannot go back and have a second chance or in higher education? So I believe that there are quite a number of opportunities, also depending on where you hail, because now we have an urban setup and an informal rural setup.
I'm also trying to look at that picture vividly.
Yes.
Somebody in the rural areas who maybe, for them getting a smartphone is big breakthrough.
Yes.
And the parent will have to sacrifice a lot before they grant them that smartphone.
Yes.
And compared to a person who's scored at Alliance, they're used to the latest brands of it, So if you compare the lifestyles and the mindsets of these two guys, there's probably a very prominent difference,
Sure. What this child has left high school with, let's first of all just acknowledge that it may not just be academics the way we envision. This is a child who has grown up in character, for instance, okay? This is a child who is already, I'm saying this is a child who is already, he's no longer a child, let me just say, he's no longer a child because he has an ID or something above 18, because in the rural setup, children will finish school when they are almost 20, and they are even applying for the national identity cards, and they're already moving on with life. So we are saying that maybe they go and maybe they become open. They should be open-minded. Yeah, their minds should be open to anything that will come their way, so that they enhance it, and they take it positively, regardless of having underperformed in the high school. They should just take it positively and accept that this is the life that they are living in at that moment.
Yes,
whoever has money to get a good grade, yes, they can take they can tentatively take a short course, or something of the short courses that we have already mentioned in the letter. And then as they are waiting to join the higher education, the higher institution, the institution of higher learning. But for these one who cannot manage do something, as long as they have a character, we are talking about what has this child finished school with, okay? Not just in academics, and work with it to forge a progress.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Teacher Oliver. During our time, it was computer packages.
Yes.
For those who would afford it, hey, Sakwa, I'm doing a small, touch upon ICT. And then there's those who could go for driving to get your driving license, just to stay upbeat so that you don't get bored, because it takes a little bit long before they get that update, or the placement is happening and this. And thanks to CRISP, this time around they're doing it very swift and fast. Yes. But then I'd like us to delve into now mentorship and how it's important for these youngins to have someone who can guide them off during this free time, because they have a lot of time in their hands. Some of them will travel if they get a chance to. Some of them will stay with their parents. He's mentioned you can tap into the entrepreneurship space, maybe start a small business. That can keep you busy, because an idle mind is, workshop for the devil, yeah? But then who should be the first one to start the conversation about mentorship? Should it be the learner who is looking up maybe to someone who they want to be, or the parent can instigate it and say, you know what, since you want to be an engineer, I think engineer so-and-so is really doing well, maybe it's time for you to have a conversation or get to meet them. Or maybe you want to be a journalist, who is the greatest journalist in town? Can we reach out on social media? Let's hear from them and get a short course on how to be the person you want. Where does the conversation begin? With the guardian or with the learner, or it's two brains combined?
Good, sir. I think that is a good question. Mentorship.
Yeah.
When you strive or struggle to make it intentional, it becomes less effective. Mentorship is like breathing. It happens when you don't know it. Actually, people are inspired to become doctors by doctors they observed without necessarily the doctors knowing they were being observed. That is what I mean. So mentorship, most of the mentorship that happens is unintentional. But if you wake up intending to mentor someone or to have an influence, you end up exerting little or no influence.
Yeah.
Because these minds are always seeking out for something that resonates with them. And they're always watching, be it on TV, be it in the papers, be it at neighbors, and they get to pick what they need. But at the moment you plug them in intentionally to stay with an engineer so that they can learn, they end up picking the mistakes most of the times and looking at what is not working for them.
Yeah.
As a teacher, and I teach math, I interact with a class daily. If I'm assigned to a certain class, I go there every day. And you can imagine the level of influence I can have on a mind there.
Yes.
I can actually direct them to a certain perspective. And this is why I think the government picks teachers with some seriousness, because we have a lot of influence on learners. Yeah. If I want to have a number of engineers in this class, I started at Form 1, making some not so serious comments on the need for engineers and the impact they are bringing. I can do that for 4 years, and everybody in that class is looking towards engineering.
Right.
If I decide to point them to the direction of pastors, I just start making some slight comments on how pastors are important and how it pays to be a pastor, and at the end of it, they go that way. Mentorship for me, I think, should be every adult who is a responsible citizen should live in such a way that they know that they are exerting influence. Whether you are being watched or not, And it starts with every adult. That is to answer your question. Not parents, not the learner, not teachers. It starts with every adult, because when you are in traffic, you are at the market, or wherever you are being watched by young people who are learning something and admiring your profession or your character. So it starts with every adult. Unfortunately, sometimes adults fail the young ones in the manner in which we speak. We fall short of the expectations of society or about us or from us.
Yeah.
I hope I have answered your question.
Absolutely.
Ah,
Yeah.
right.
But then I'm looking at this young man from the interiors, where they're not highly exposed to the conversation of mentorship. For them, they just know KCSE. Oh, nimepata C+, ucha niende yenye wataniita, you know, usually wache kuja vile itakuja. There's usually that wache ikam vile itakam, yeah. But then when you look at also these youngins, there's specific things that they want for themselves, but then there's those that teachers instill as well, and there's those that parents insist that, you know, this is what I want you. So how do you guide this young man to achieve their dream, you know? Because I believe that's sort of a rock and a hard place. Maybe for them they want to be a journalist, but then the parents want them to be a teacher because maybe it's affordable, it can start off swiftly a little bit, yeah.
I think next to illiteracy is lack of exposure in terms of the things that can really damage a human being. Lack of exposure, and I think it might not necessarily be lack of mentorship, but lack of exposure. Yeah. And majority of our learners in this country are not exposed to the careers they wish to join.
Okay.
Because even the nearest hospital might not be having a doctor. The nearest hospital in a sub-county somewhere might not necessarily be having a doctor. Yeah. And the image they have of these careers of a pastor or of a lawyer or engineer are actually just things that they have had. They have not really interacted with the schedule of an engineer. You might love the returns of being an engineer, but you might not really like what goes into being an engineer, the learning that has to take place, the discipline, and the hours you have to work before you drive those trucks.
Yeah,
that
the training,
it's
intense.
So you can expose me to the benefits, but have you exposed me to the discipline it needs? And so lack of exposure is a problem, and I think all the stakeholders need to look into this. We need to have a very decent conversation on how to ensure that every learner is exposed at least to 70% of what every career entails, so that when we say a nurse, the learner is able to understand what it means to be a nurse, so that they can make an informed, the word is informed, choice.
Informed choices.
Otherwise, we are just making choices, unfortunately, based on the returns.
Choices. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. Mr. Oliver, I've at some point I once heard someone say, I think it was a Guardian, huyo wangu nilimwachia Mungu. Like they got a certain grade and they were demotivated, for lack of a better term, or they were uninspired to even, you know, move ahead with their life. But then Mr. Pascal has pointed out, you guys play a very huge role in determining the next phase of these youngins. Maybe what are the mistakes that guardians make in terms of shaping the next course for this learner? I'd say mistakes, because we've talked about the positives a lot, and you guys are like parents still.
Actually, you know, this is a young learner who is growing, right as they join the school at the child level, as they come perhaps until high school or even after high school. Most of them are like, they are heavily dependent on what we advise them on, either as parents or as teachers. But you know, we hail in a society whereby parents have predictably been asking their kids what they wish to become when they grow up, you know. And it's like, this child is naive. They aren't aware about even the significance of the certain career that the same parent may be advising them to take. You know, they are just oblivious of the outcome. They don't know. As my colleague has pointed out, you know, they are like, this engineer, maybe because of exposure, they don't know what an engineer may look like, or what's the role of the engineer. So there are kids who grow up with a certain mentality, or what they will answer to such kind of questions if the parents push them on the question of what career would you wish to become when you grow up. Some of them would have a certain mindset that they would prefer to have to pursue those careers that would be very heroic.
Yeah.
For example,
but let's say maybe
becoming
like right now, but I would have loved you guys to answer that. Some of the most marketable courses
Yes.
right now, like let's say ICT, IT, things to do with tech is really marketable. Medicine as well, engineering that you just mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe they wanted those, you know, syndicated
Yes.
ones, but then
Yes.
maybe they're not able to.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then you'll find just a couple of them again. Maybe you will also prefer some of those cool courses that maybe like
Yeah.
journalism, like you know,
I don't think
like
journalism is a
DJ
cool
or something.
course.
You know that's why I've said just
Yeah.
a few of them.
Uh-huh.
Not so many of them. But now you know these are child until they finish the school. You know, so it means that it's sort of a journey that you need to walk with them. Okay,
Absolutely.
because the moment you actually look back, this is like
Yeah.
a small kid with 3 years or less in the house, whom you are supposed to be like, the eyes are on the kid all the time,
Right.
because they can touch something, a flask, and then it falls or something. I mean, you know, they can get injured anytime. This is how the journey of a child should be all the time.
Absolutely.
Why? Because the moment, like for instance, a parent, maybe we have these parents who do not even stay with their young ones, you know,
Yeah.
as they school. Because let's not just assume that these are boarding school whereby the kids will be in school all the time with their
Okay.
teachers, and assume these are day school, or a child who is actually commuting on daily basis, you know.
Okay.
When we expect that the child is supposed to be like with the parent almost all the time when they come back from school or when they are not in school, you
Right.
know, we have those parents who have just, sorry for a better word, maybe to abscond, they have absconded their duties as the
Right.
parents, you know. You can't just assume that the child is doing the right thing. So they tend to be like, due to peer pressure, their character, maybe they tend to sway or veer off from the expected norms in the society, and maybe again they become indisciplined. And so with that indiscipline, you know, they veer off from the main objective, or maybe they even forget. It's like now, that's like that parent who says that huyo wangu nimemwachia Mungu nini na nini. In maybe in one or the other, you can't just say like that. Where did the rain start beating the child from?
But then also, are they also willing to pursue that direction of? That's
The
a good
parents.
question. Yeah. Are they willing? Because maybe also the child is unmanageable. Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying that at the point where the child is becoming unmanageable,
Especially now the
that's
ones
the
who
question.
completed high school.
Yes.
In fact, there's those who say, nilikuwa tu nimengoja umalize uniondokee. There's those instances. Yeah, there's so many.
Actually, huyu mtoto, there's somewhere where he started to trail away from the discipline or from the norms that we expect. Either
it could be from the parent
or from a school,
or from the homestead.
when maybe they were schooling, maybe they were away from the parents, and maybe there was little attention on what this child was doing. Okay,
Right.
so by the time they realize it's already a bit late, and therefore it's like we cannot actually mend up this, you know. So though they try their best, they call for the mentors. You know, a child may also listen best to a person maybe whom they are not used to. So maybe they, you know, it's the parent again who is going to guide, or maybe to prefer maybe the dad or the uncle or the teacher or wherever, a pastor in church or somebody to talk to the child. Okay.
Yes.
But my key point, Brother Sakwa, is this child, you need to walk with the child. Even if you go to church, you need to be like, you are also heading to that church with the child. For them to
So
see the
you're leading
significance
them.
of as a leader, because you are the parent, okay?
Okay.
Because the moment you fail to go to church and you expect this child to go to church, you know, at some point
You are
the
never
child,
a demonstration and an example.
yes, this child may never see the essence of going to church because the parent is not going there, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. But also, I think before we go to the next point, I think parents also play a huge role. It's a huge role in determining. I'd also agree, those who say lazima ukuwe daktari, I think it helps. Lazima ukuwe engineer. It helps because, like you said, they have a vision and a voice, but it's really shaky.
Yes.
That's what you said. So it's important for you to mold it and morph it into something meaningful.
Yes.
Still on you, right now we live in an era of technology. Artificial intelligence is the next big thing. in the whole entire world. The digital space at large. I love that the government has a platform as well where I think they came up with something called Digital Content Association or something of Kenya. We talked about it last year a lot, where young people who have already amassed a following on social media, they can join the association and be able to make money out of it. And if you observe closely the people in that association, most of them are just Form 4 leavers, and most of them are also dropouts as well. Most of them are qualified expertise in various professions. So technology is here to give opportunities. But then also when you look at what's happening in the country as well, these AI images being shared, they are bringing some wahala, and you can see the massive outrage as well from the leaders on the higher up. How can young people tap into now the space of artificial intelligence, especially now from a school's perspective, especially as a teacher, also in escalating academic research, development, and now career? And have you interacted with AI? Is it part of your package at your institution?
Okay, at my institution, I've not yet interacted with it so much, though I'm aware about it. So I wish to say this, Banasakwa, that you know, what is going on right now is that the society is already informed about technology, okay? That is to mean that every other child, as they grow up, they are aware about one or two touch-ups on the phone or on the computer. Even nowadays, computer is actually an examinable subject at high school. That is to say that in the field of technology, this child is almost familiar with what is expected of them.
They are savvy.
And secondly, now that because everybody is digitized or has got this,
even the way you receive your case, you see this here. It's no longer text. It's go to the website and receive.
Simply just download.
It's a development from the previous,
Sure. So what these children need to do, or these kids need to do, is this: for them to tap in those opportunities in the digital space, and to call them careers. We have to draw them back to what they qualify. It's like let's take it like it's another career sort of, because without having merited in Form 4, for instance, without meriting there and maybe qualifying for a certain course, you wake up and then you cannot. It's almost impossible for any other person just to create a digital platform without having done enough research and know-how, or having gone to the expert, And I'm saying this because, unfortunately, even those ones who claim to be like the digital expertise, even those who claim to be somehow they must have undertaken that course. Yes, whether with private partners whom they agree to teach them, or maybe in just a formal institution which does the training, because it's IT. IT is everywhere. And
now it's things to do with data. You being on a platform, you're agreeing to the terms and conditions of that app, meaning you're submitting your personal data to them. Passwords, photos, those are images, and that's data.
And do you know they are doing
videos, voice,
they are doing crazier things that we even do not know than we imagine. That is, they are doing crazier things, and that is their world.
Has it influenced academia? If you were to say in a way that you guys study at school, in terms of now, let's Google something, let's get images of a grasshopper. Do we still study grasshoppers?
We do. We do. That is still part of our curriculum, We cannot denounce that. We cannot run away from that. So what I can say or advise them is that they should also be watchful about the legal space, because now, without undertaking the proper training, they tend to
misuse now
and go astray.
And that's why we're hearing, these are misusing platforms.
Yes, and they end up regretting for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. Do you believe the digital space is the next big thing for learning institutions, especially now with artificial intelligence? And I hear this robotics is coming up, because last year we saw Elon Musk launch Zucker's humanoids. They can entertain, they can teach, they can serve drinks. That's even I think Meta, the Meta boss Mark Zuckerberg, 2 weeks ago, he did something on a podcast. Akasema, there's part of the Meta crew that are already fired. As we speak, they are home, and there's been replaced with robots and artificial intelligence savvy professionals. So meaning that they're losing a certain profession and replacing it with technology. So if we were to serve it to academia, do you believe it's the next big thing? And how can young people, teachers as well, tap into that?
Allow me to answer your question with several questions. Why are we just consumers of AI and not producers? That is one.
Okay.
And number two, is it the next big thing or it is the big thing? I think it is the big thing.
Okay.
And I think we should also be thinking as a country and as a people of coming up with some things as far as AI is concerned, not just be the end users of the same.
Wow.
I think the next big career is digital security, cyber security.
Yeah, cyber security.
Because now
it's
this
really
thing has,
big.
it has permeated our society and all that, and things like coding and
Things to do
programming
with
that
data
used to be big
management.
things are not there. And I just
Absolutely.
give a command and say, and remind me to be brief, by the way.
Yeah, actually we are out of time.
Yeah,
We are
I'm
operating on
noted,
30 seconds.
All right then. So I think because we no longer code, or you can just give a command by voice and it happens, I think the next thing is cyber security. How can we be secure in this era? And so if it is a career, think of security. Yeah, and academia, of course, it's inevitable. It has come. We have to adapt.
Yeah. I had last year, we interviewed someone here who said the biggest challenge as well for most users is literacy. Literacy on the ethics of operation. You've mentioned, I think we are more of consumers of even the content than even the content creators here.
Yes.
So what if we shift it and become part of the back-end creators now, managing it and now being able to even distribute it and educate others. So I think it's an integral part. So we have to say goodbye. So I love your parting shots in 30 seconds. Still, I'm on you. 30 seconds. Your last word to the Gen Zs who just finished high school as we exit. In fact, 5 seconds.
It's okay. It's called Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. It is a certificate.
Yeah.
It is called Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. It is a certificate. You can get another one. And it doesn't really condemn you to be what it is. You can change it, you can do better, you can become anything you want to become. Absolutely. It is just a certificate.
Your parting shot, the camera.
Yeah, for the candidates, for the previous candidates who already finished their high school, I would like to encourage them. Those who managed actually to score a grade that will actually enable them with into a career of a higher institution, please go ahead and enhance it. Just embrace it and work best to ensure that you get something out of it. Those who did not manage or who did not score something, I mean who did not have a better grade, maybe that is D and D minus and below, they can proceed and also get a certain career within their reach that is actually vocational or something that is crafty, where they can touch their hands on and make sure that actually they embrace it for life to move on. All will be well.
All right, thank you. You have social media as well? You have social media where people can follow? Please say it very fast.
No, it's okay. I have enough followers.
You have enough followers? Okay. Wow, for the first time, I'm meeting people who have enough followers.
Thank you, though.
Thank you so much. Teacher Pascal Ainer, he's a teacher at Kiangari High School alongside Oliver Matara. He's a geography teacher at the same institution. Thank you for sharing your insights and great to meet you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. Because of time, I'll not read your comments. I'll sample them off the air. We'll respond, retweet, and repost. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow from exactly 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. at Brian Sanko 101 is my handle. Have a fantastic Monday. See you tomorrow.